In a country where a majority of people are hustlers and are actively hustling, I want to believe that it is necessary for us to respect, identify, and respect humble beginnings. And that at the end of the day, slow, consistent work always pays off. Unajua unapatanga watu wengine wenye wakifanya kazi, at that point unaweza kuwa na mwangalia unashangaa huyu jamaa anafanya nini. But when you trace them 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, you see tremendous progress. So humble beginnings, I believe, need to be respected. Mtu kama Jalang'o, for instance, Jalang'o is somebody who, regardless of the challenges he might be facing within his party at the moment, which I believe watasort tuko kwa party, he's one person whom I believe exemplifies the spirit of hard work, consistency, and somebody who has demonstrated that humble beginnings should never, ever, ever, ever be taken for granted. I mean, we're talking of a guy who, when he started out, was a fisherman. In fact, I can't even say a fisherman, a fisher boy. Because when Jalang'o was fishing, he was just after high school. That's a young boy. And over the years, Jalang'o has moved from being a fisherman. Jama amekuja, ameanza kufanya Luo comedy called Pengle. Pengle, I know only Luos know about what Pengle was. In fact, even within the Luo community, some rich kids hata hawajaisikia na hata wakiona wanaweza fikiria ni some form of witchcraft that used to happen in that thing, because it was very basic rudimentary production in the Luo. And Jalang'o did it so well. He gave his best. Kenya Cinema ndio hiyo ama ni Kenya Theatre, whatever it is, huko walienda wakafanya. Then he got into TV doing Papa Shirandula, which is where most of us now met him. Even just taking a step to move between being a celebrity radio guy, comedian, and stepping into politics is such a big step and realization that most people cannot even do. So even for that particular reason alone, this is a guy who sometimes I just sit down and study him, and in studying him, I realized that we should never despise starting small and consistency, because the truth is that in this world, it is only slow, consistent work that gives results. Hii ingine tu ni mdomo tu. But for the average Kenyan, ni kazi tu mdogo mdogo until the end. I remember talking about humble beginnings. As a baker, we've seen it. Because unajua kuna wakati unaanza biashara, you have dreams, you have goals, unaanza, but you might not have the necessary skills to put forth what people want. So unaanza pole pole. I remember there's a particular time I baked a cake for a lady who has quite a bit of a high profile. She was coming to Shags, huku Nyanza, mali nilikuwa ninauza pia. Then she ordered a cake. And then she was so happy with what I delivered. Akaenda akapost Facebook and she spoke very highly of us. But well, ndio nilikuwa nimeanza sikuwa nimefanya kazi sana. So there's some people who saw the cake and were so happy. They're like, oh, I can get such a thing. Oh. And I got some very good orders from that post. But there was this particular one, sitawahi sahau. This lady came and said, hey, mimi hapa naye siko, hii si yangu. She spoke very negatively of what I was doing. But mimi, from where I stood, I had such a conviction with what I was doing. So it begged the question that people walk around all the time talking about humble beginnings and the way humble beginnings should be respected and it's a good thing. But when you're in your position as a consumer or a social media user or as a Kenyan in general, do you identify how humble beginnings look like? Because I remember time has now passed and I've become the kind of person who is now catering cakes for entire weddings and people are looking for me and I'm doing good jobs. But nikiangalia hizo comments nilipata back then, I asked myself another second question, which is, hawa watu wangekuwa wananifuata and they would see maybe the work that I do now. They are probably the same people who will come and say, ati enyewe hard work pays. Ona mali msichana alianza na mali amefika. But when they encounter your work in that particular time when you're starting, they have a lot of negative things to say about it. So as a society that preaches and would like to appreciate humble beginnings and slow, consistent work, are we in a position to identify how humble beginnings look like? how slow, consistent work looks like. Ama, are we waiting for people on the other side of success? So that once they've made it, now we want to associate with them. Oh, this, oh, that. Either way, it does not kill the spirit of a serious person. So Jalang'o might have the challenges that he's having now. He might have made the decisions that he made now. Some of you think it's wrong. Some of you think it is right. It is not for me to talk about. But the truth is that people who have that kind of spirit of doing and overcoming and trying and pushing the envelope and pushing the boundaries and trying new things, it is a spirit that needs to be emulated. Slow, consistent work over time. Especially if you're operating in a society that tends to reward mediocrity. Mtu anakuja anapiga whistle mara mbili kwa TV, the next thing you know, umepata endorsement. Sometimes it is very easy for your spirit to die as a young person who is actually producing good content, or as a young person who has a product that they're selling. Mtu anauza viatu, mtu ni model, mtu ni hustler anatengeneza magari kwa garage. Then unaona mtu anakuwa rewarded is somebody who goes on TV and whistles very loudly kwa TikTok. Then the next thing you know, Governor Joho is whistling with him, with her. The next thing you know, Sakaja mzima whistling with her. So Githeri man, just the other day we had Githeri man. Hakuna hata kenye mali imeenda. So the reality is, when you're operating in a society such as ours that sometimes tend to reward mediocrity, you might find yourself along the way questioning, na sasa hii kazi yangu legit ninafanya hapa, will I go anywhere with it? You will. With slow, consistent work, you will. So that spirit, the kind of spirit that Jalang'o carries with him, is one that when it presents itself in you or in the society, it is worth emulating.